For more, let's bring in Michael Rubin, senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, someone who has studied the country quite closely. Michael, it's great to have you here. Welcome. What's your first reaction? And then as you've perhaps had a chance to find out more about this, what do you think this is all about here?
Well, I think this is a tragic accident. Perhaps the Iranian pilot was pressured by President Raisi to to go forward in the fog when he shouldn't have. What I find most interesting is that even in Raisi's hometown, people are celebrating his death. Make no mistake, this regime has no more legitimacy. And if people are celebrating the death of President Raisi, imagine what's going to happen when 85-year-old Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei dies.
Right. He's been in power since 1989, 30 some odd years. Now who does this leave as a successor? So obviously we all sort of seen the speculating at this point. If he appoints his son, that could further delegitimize the regime, which leaves them the options maybe of military rule or of regime change. But is something internal, likely or not at this point? It seems unlikely.
Well, with regard to the president, you have a temporary president already appointed who is the vice president. He's just a placeholder, Mohammed Mukhtar. But then you have three main candidates who may want to try to become president. I think all bets should be on Kalibaf, who is the Speaker of the Parliament. He used to be the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and for years he was mayor of Tehran. The reason why I think he might ascend to the presidency is he really is a safe choice. He's a hardliner like Raisi was, but he's not going to offend anyone who's trying to rise to be the supreme leader, because as a military man rather than a cleric, he can't take that final step. I suspect we're going to see Mujtaba, the son of the current supreme leader, keep his powder dry until the future succession to his father.
The fact that this succession might occur in the coming years after the events in Israel means what exactly? Is this an opportunity for Iranians to express their discontent, to try to push for a different kind of change, or has the dynamic in Israel changed? Is it popular? I'm curious what the sort of status is with much of the public at this point contra the regime.
Well, I used to live in the Islamic Republic of Iran. They used to call me Pasadi Shaitani Bozorg, son of the great Satan. Most Iranians have no real animus towards Israel. Every Israeli knows someone who's been killed in a war with an Arab country and vice versa, but no one knows anyone who's been killed in a war with Iran. Yet the Iran-Iraq war between 1980 and 1988 killed 500,000 Iranians. So there is real animus towards Arab countries, more so than Israel. That said, it's the guys with the guns that control things. But you did say that Khamenei has been in power for 35 years. In that time, he's amassed more than $100 billion. If you only have one succession every 35 years, you're going to have people coming out of the woodwork with knives out, figuring, this is our last best chance. Maybe we can win the lottery. So, you've already had the Machiavellian maneuverings. What happens now is only going to put this on overdrive. And by the way, because of this background maneuvering to succeed, the cancer-stricken, partially paralyzed supreme leader, this is one of the reasons why a number of Iranians suspect, even more than Israel, that perhaps Khamenei's own son, Mujtaba, had something to do with this. Because Raisi, the president who died in the so-called hard landing, was his chief competitor.
Right.
The one wild card that we should keep an eye out for, though, nothing says that the supreme leader of Iran needs to be a single person. You could have a council of leadership, and I suspect that's where Iran will be going.
Quick last question. It seemed like the biggest threat, not existential, but competitive threat to Iran was the opening up of ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia. If they really did become encircled in the Middle East. Now that looks less likely, maybe it's not, but it seems less likely after the events of October 7th. Does that mean that this is a moment for Iran to actually have become, especially loosen sanctions and all the rest of it? Where do they stand competitively and kind of in terms of their geopolitical heft at this point?
Well, Iran feels that it's been on the upswing. They have the so-called axis of resistance. They are the predominant power not only in Lebanon and Iraq, but also in Yemen. Saudi Arabia has always played a double game here. But, even if Israel doesn't have formal relations with Saudi Arabia, those two countries have been cooperating for the better part of 15 years. So this really is nothing new. The big question in the region is what happens when the supreme leader of Iran dies? And so what we have now with this helicopter crash that killed the president is really a dry run to help us look into the crystal ball.
Indeed. Michael, thanks for helping us do so. We appreciate your time today.